guys, Dave the Station here. Sorry it's been a while since I've put some more videos up. You know, life's kind of gotten busy and stuff. But basically today what we're going to talk about is stippling. So, you know, you guys see all the, high-speed videos of guys, stippling their grips on guns and stuff. It's super easy. You don't have to send it off somewhere to go ahead and get it done for you. The big advantage to this is that it improves your grip, especially Glocks and stuff. They've got those little ridges and stuff on there that they're supposed to assist with grip, but really it's not great, especially if you're wearing like any sort of kind of gloves or anything. It really slips around and stuff, or if it gets wet. Not a lot of people shoot in the rain or whatever, but if it's like a carry gun, maybe you got some blood on there or whatever, being able to hold onto your firearm is very important. So what essentially you do is you take a soldering iron here. You can pick these up, like Hobby Lobby for like 10 bucks or wherever. You don't need anything super fancy. The tip just needs to get hot. And what stippling is it basically you're kind of melting a portion of the plastic. So when you push down, it kind of raises up the sides. So if you do that, if you can see kind of my Glock here has been stippled all the way around. I did it myself. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to, but we'll go over some really basic entry-level stippling patterns and stuff. But I'm just going to practice on a PMag that I don't really use. My advice to you is find something to practice on before you start working on a firearm, because once you start melting away and stuff, you can't really undo it. But like I said, so the advantages to it are, it grips really well. It's not really going to go anywhere. The only issue that I have with at least just the standard, kind of the small little holes that you put on, the problem with that is if you carry concealed, it is kind of almost textured very similarly to sandpaper. So like me, when I appendix carry, I do have to wear like an undershirt and then tuck the grip in front or over the undershirt, so it's not rubbing right against the skin, because that can get pretty irritating. But let me just get my soldering iron warmed up, and then we'll jump right into it. Alright guys, my soldering iron is now warmed up. Basically what you want to do is you just want to find a piece of plastic. I like using bottle caps or something just to make sure that it's hot before you start working at it. But basically you just want to touch it to the plastic for a little less than a second, I would think, and then just make sure that you can kind of feel those raised bumps. What I like to do when I start, I will do the outline of whatever I'm doing and then kind of work my way in to fill up the rest of the space. What we're going to do is we're just going to do the one of the windows here on the PMag, and like I said, so you're going to want to hold it for just a little bit less than a second, and you can kind of vary that depending on how much texture you want. The big thing to the big thing is to keep consistent with how long you're holding it there, because with the temperature that these soldering irons get to, you will burn through it eventually. But the main thing is, if you hold it kind of inconsistent time, it'll look kind of screwed up a little bit. But you'll just take it and you'll just touch. So it can go pretty quick. All you want to do is you just want to make sure all your lines are straight. Some people like using painter's tape and stuff to kind of help them or guide them in how far, or what am I trying to say here, what the outline is, and kind of make those borders a little bit more defined. But these soldering irons will go right through the painter's tape too, so it was really just a guide. But so yeah, you just want to make sure everything looks pretty uniform. And like on this PMag here, it's pretty easy to get the outline perfect because the little window is recessed a tad, so you can just kind of follow the edge of the window. But as you can see, that's the outline, and you can feel it with your finger. Make sure that's the kind of amount of raise that you want, and then you just kind of work your way in. Now, there is some debate on if people want it kind of uniform, right? If they just want to do row after row after row, all so you can see almost a little bit of exactly the rows that you're taking. Me personally, that doesn't matter too much. I like the increase in performance rather than the aesthetic look of it, but it's personal preference. Another thing to remember when you're doing this is that you want to try and keep the angle at which you're stippling consistent. So there are different, kind of variations in the types of soldering irons that you get. Some of them are a lot shorter, some of them are longer, some have the grip a little bit closer to the tip. Those are probably a little bit easier to use. This is what I had laying around the house when I started doing this. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to do. And like I said, uniformity is a big one. And the consistency with the time that you're leaving on the piece of plastic, as well as the angle at which you're holding the soldering iron. So as you can, I don't know if you guys will be able to see that on camera. So this one, I'm just trying to do all the lines kind of the same distance apart from each other and just going right down a row. But if you see some spots where you've kind of screwed up a little bit, you can just put another dot there, and it's not a big deal. Now, there's other ways that you can do this, and these other ones are, that you can change out the tip. So there's kind of like it almost looks like a flathead screwdriver. You can twist, or you can make lines. A big part of it is, like I said, personal preference, but you can also kind of get away with doing that if you just have the standard dot tip. So you guys see that there, right? You just keep going. I think you get the idea, and it definitely improves the grip a billion times. Now, I'm going to show you guys another one that I like to do. I've done this on, let's see, like 3 or 4 handguns. Nothing really like with a large space. I'm thinking about doing my Benelli handguards, but we'll see. I don't really trust myself yet to do that one. But so there's another way, or another thing that I've seen done, and it's you just drag a line, right? So you'll drag a line across, and you can do this in a couple different directions. And really all this one's going to do is get the 2 ridges touched up against each other. But so if you're going across, right, so you'll kind of get a little bit more grip like that, but you can kind of play with the pattern a little bit. So if you're doing it, I'm doing it at like a 45-degree angle this way. So now we'll try, we'll do 45 degrees the other way. And then we'll try straight across. Straight down. And you can kind of keep doing this whatever way you want to. And the important part here is you just want to be really consistent in your draw. So I don't know how well this is going to look on camera again, but if you get a finer tip, you can be a little bit more precise. Like I said, I just kind of missed there, but it's all about the control. You don't want to rush anything. I don't know, that kind of looks kind of goofy, but if you see on the camera here, you can see a little bit of a pattern. I mean, it's not perfect. It just takes a lot of practice, and if you're doing anything like that, you know, definitely put some time in on something that you don't really care about. If you thought that video was cool, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. The big thing with this is just to go ahead and do it. Like I said, I recommend a little bit of practice before you start working on whatever you're stippling, but don't be afraid. If you screw up, you know, as long as you don't go all the way through, you know, you're still going to get that function out of it. It just might not look as pretty, but being able to do it, or being able to, you know, make sure you have a solid hold on whatever you're stippling is probably more important than how it looks. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.